Hello, my name is Kion. I have been noticing that lately there have been people starting to play Mahjong, especially through the application Mahjong Soul. And I figured I could help a little bit. Have those people that just started learning, that just started entering into Mahjong, and help them improve a little bit of their technique when playing. So the first class that I'll be doing is regarding discarding the tiles when you're playing Mahjong. If you're still interested in getting more classes, I'm not really sure if I will be continuing, but it is an idea that I've been thinking on doing. So it might continue, it might not. Before watching the video, you do need to know the basics of how to play Mahjong, what each of the melts is, how it works, like all of that stuff. I will be placing a video guide for the basics of the game that is explained by the VTuber Shio Kusunoki. I'll be placing it on the description below, so you can check that out. You just make sure to turn on the CC subtitles to be able to understand it if you are not familiar with Japanese. And that she shall be explaining you like all of the basics of how to play the game in case that you're not, and then you can just return to this video right now. So first thing of this class, I'll be teaching first on the shapes of different melts before they become melts, the pre-melts of sequences, so that you can understand a little bit better on some concepts that I'll be digging on later. Then I'll be getting onto dissecting your hand so that you can tell up like what combinations you have and what you can do with your hand. Then I'll be moving towards the effective way to discard so that you can have the most possibilities and you're more likely to win your hands when you're playing Mahjong. After that, I'll be talking about one of the most important Yaku to understand in this game to be able to win more and win with better points, which is Pinfu. Pinfu is a really good Yaku that we will be reviewing today. And at the end, I will be having an actual game where I plan to apply all of the rules that I've explained and also give some commentary. So let's begin. First, we have the pre-meld sequences. So we have Ryanman, which is when it is open or two-sided weight. In this case, we have a 3 and a 4 of bamboos, so it is waiting for a 2 and a 5 on the sides. Then we have Penchan, which is when it's one weight outside. So in this case, it's waiting for a 3 of the numerals. And finally, we have the Kanchan, which is when it's middle weight, which is waiting. In this case, it's a 6 and an 8, and it's waiting for the middle to be the 7. So once you have either one of these, like it's one away to become a sequence. And these are the names that are used in Japanese for when you are already on Tenpai and how it's defined to be. So that's the one that I decided to use to be able to explain it. So here we have an example of a normal hand, beginning hand that I got in one of my games. And if you take a quick look, like you can tell, like there's 1, 2, 8, like there's a lot of tiles, and it's all really disordered. So if you're like looking and you're not familiar, you might be confused and not sure which combinations you can make with all of this. But if you get used to the game, you will be able to see it like this. In this case, I just took away like all of the spaces and I just made more space to be able to check on what type of combinations they are. So in this case, we have a combination of both a sequence and a possible triplet, where we could have another 3 to make a triplet, or we can have a 2 or a 5 and this will make a sequence. We have a pair of 5s, and the sequence, which is waiting for a 7 in the middle, which is 6 and 8. So all of these are really good weights that are in the middle, and they're really good for the game. Then we have sequences that are more on the sides with 1s and 9s. So we have a 1, 2, and an 8 and a 9 that they are both waiting for a 7 and a 3. So they are only waiting, they only have one weight, and it's harder to handle them. So they are not really as important as the ones that I have on the left side. And then we have all of the single tiles. So these ones are of less importance, and you should be thinking on getting rid of them first before getting rid of the rest ones. So these are just some recommendations I have generally when talking about how to handle them, tiles. So first you should be getting rid of all of the single tiles that you have, starting if you can, keep the ones that are in the middle, like 4s, 5s, and 6. But get rid of the ones that you don't need, especially if they are honor tiles and 1s, 9s. Those ones especially, they are less useful. Now, if you have a lot of melts, like you had all of your hand was melts, then you kind of had to get rid of other melts. So in case that you want that you have to do so, I would recommend that you start discarding tiles that are more on the sides, like 1s, 9s, 2s and 8s, 3s and 7s. All of these tiles that are more on the sides, they are really more harder to use, and I'll be explaining it in a little bit. The other thing that you should always make sure is that you always have a pair. So in this case you can see that you have a 5, and a 6, and an 8. So you might actually like see that, oh, it's a 5 and a 6, so I can make like a combination with 4 or a 7. Make sure that you always have a pair when you're playing. If you think of, okay, I'll do that, and then you get a 7, you get a 4, you get rid of the 5, make sure you keep like these 3s together. You always want to have one pair. If you don't have one pair, like, it will be really harder for you later, as you'll be needing to have one tile, and it can get really hard in those cases. So that's one of my really important recommendations. Make sure to always have a pair. Now it's important to have here make sure that you are effective when you're discarding your tiles. So the priority order that I usually give is all of the honor tiles have a higher discard priority, as they are harder to combine with other tiles, followed with 1s and 9s. After that, the 2s and the 8s are less important, and after that is the 3s and the 7s. These ones are always harder to handle, so if you're getting more tiles that are more on either the honor tiles and you did not get another pair, then you want to get rid of them. You will only want to get honor tiles if you have 2 or more. Otherwise, you can keep them just for the hopes that you can get something else, but I recommend usually getting rid of them, especially if it's not either the seat wind or the round wind. So if it's a wind that it's not for use for you, just make sure to get rid of it if you don't have more than one. After that, the 1s and the 9s. And then slowly, like, you go inside all the way to 5s. But usually you do not want to get rid of 5s or 4s or 6s, as they, for one, they're kind of useful to make a lot because they are more in the middle, they are more flexible. And more important, a lot of people will try to keep them. So if you get rid of 4s, 5s, and 6s, people will either make a call for a chi or a pawn, or even worse, they could run you. So try to not get rid of them unless you really need to, and you're like getting ready for Tenpai. The other exception is if you're sure that you're not gonna need them. If you're sure you're not gonna need a tile, you in the middle, you actually might want to get rid of it earlier than later, to prevent getting runned by another player. But that's more advanced technique that I might cover in a later video for not getting runned in the game. So this is one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of new players do when you are beginning to play, and it's which tile to discard when you drew a tile that is more inside than the other one. So you have a pair of a 1 and you have a sequence of 1 and 2 waiting for a 3. You get a 4. So will you discard the 1 or the 4? If you're beginning playing the game, you will just see the 1 and the 2 and you'll be sure, like I already have this, so I don't need the 4. I'll just keep the 1 and the 2. Well, that is a valid reason to continue, but it's not really the most optimal play. The reason is because the 1 and the 2 together and the 2 and the 4, they're waiting for the same tile, the 3. So there's not much of a difference at this point when we're just talking about these two combination of tiles. But it gets important when if you decide to discard the 1 and you keep the 2 and the 4. If you draw a 5, then that 5 can actually be useful to get rid of the 2, and you now are having an open weight with a 3 and a 6. So I usually do recommend that if you get the opportunity, you keep the ones that are more inside the tiles, because they're much more flexible to changing your hand and making your chances to win a lot more than if you're trying to keep the tiles that are more on the side. Finally, I'll be explaining the Yaku Pinfu. Pinfu is a Yaku that is really one of the ones I recommend more people to really understand and be able to do themselves, because it is one of the easiest ways to increase your score much more, the hand that you get each time that you play. It is really easy to do. You need to make sure that you have only 4 sequences and 1 pair. You cannot have any triplets on your hand. That's one of the requirements. It's kind of easy. The next one is that you cannot have any dragons, round wind, nor your wind. So basically, the easiest way to remember this is that you get rid of all of the honor tiles, but you can actually use a pair of winds that are not yours, nor part of the round. The ones that are the guest wins, the ones that are not important for you, you can use those to make a pinfu, and that's really something that a lot of people do not know. So I do recommend, if you get an opportunity where you can build a pinfu, but you are kind of away because you have a guest wind, use that one, and you can actually make a pinfu like that. The last and more important thing is that you need to have an open weight. In this case, we have a 2 and a 3, and it's waiting for a 1 and a 4. So why is this Yaku like so important, so good to be able to play this game? Well, the first thing is that it's really easy to create when you're discarding the honor tiles and number tiles and the numbers from outside, following the effective guide that I place here on which ones to discard first. If you're following that, you should be able to do pinfu much more likely than usual. The second reason that you want to use it is because it's highly compatible with a lot of really easy to have Yaku, such as Tanyao, which is when you only have 2s to 8s. This one will almost be a Tanyao if it wasn't because he summoned a 1. If he summoned a 4, this will be a Tanyao, and it will be worth 1 more point. It also combines well with Richie, Tsumo, and Ipeko, which is another Yaku. So I recommend you check Yakus in case that you're not too familiar. But Pinfu, it's a really good Yaku to be able to make so that you can actually a lot of your points working. I shall have a game right here on ranked match so that I can show you. Hopefully you shall be able to learn following all of this process that I was able to tell you on how to do. And I'll be doing some commentary while I play for my hand, which might be useful. So I'll start by throwing the winds first. As you can see, I have 1, 5, 5, 5, 7, 8, 6, 1, 9. The white got pawned, so it will not really have much of a use if I kept it anyways. It was best to get rid of it. The same goes for the green. Although I'm not sure if someone will actually make the call. Whoa, they made a con. It's an interesting play. So as you can see, I have 3 5s, 7 and 8, and an 8, and then I have a 1 and a 3, 8, 9. So I already have 4 melts, but I don't really have any pairs other than the west tile. I'll be getting rid of this 9. There's another 9 thrown out on the other side. I'll probably be getting rid of this one, as it doesn't really give me much of help. So right now I have a sequence of 1, 2, 3. I might get rid of the west as the game goes. Yeah, I'll get rid of the wests. Well, it might not be effective. I think I'll be getting rid of one of the 5s to have a pair in case that is needed. So you can see I have a 3 and a 4. If I get a 2, I can make that sequence. I could get rid of this 6. I have a pair here, so I might actually just make a use of this and try to make some sequence as soon as possible. I am 1 tile away from Tempai. This one is useless for me, so I'll be getting rid of it. This 6 really right now does not really do anything on my hand, so I actually should have thrown that before the 1 because the 1 is less dangerous. It's better to get rid of dangerous tiles such as this 6 right now while I still can. And I Richie. And Tempai, so I shall actually Richie with that, and that leaves me with a open weight with a 2 and a 5. Hopefully I don't get runned. Thank God. And run. So as you can see, that hand was really not worth anything other than the Richie. But still, as an Oya, you should always be going for that. So we have some interesting shapes right now with our hand. this one is really not helping at all, especially because I have a 4 and a 6 and a 5. This shape of 1, 3 and 5 is actually really interesting, and I should keep it as until I get at least another tile that is adjacent to it, to either one of these 3 tiles. A 4 and a 6 have get rid of. Someone just got rid of a lot of 6s, so I might actually consider getting rid of this 5. I think I'll cut on the 1, and I'll wait 3, 5, 7. I'll be cutting on this and keep this pair. And I got another pair, which I might get rid of in the future, depending on how the hand continues to evolve. So there's not much that I could have done. Like if I really wanted to, I should have just prevented losing by throwing the hand and just getting rid of tiles that I did not need. But I still felt like it was kind of too early to retract from actually continue playing. So I have a green and a red dragon right now, and this 9 is not really helping me at all, so I'll get rid of this 9 instead. As someone threw out the red dragon, I'll be throwing it as well. The player of my right is starting to throw out tiles that are more in the middle, 3s, 5s. That usually has some signs that the player is actually getting ready to tempai and might reach it sooner. Yeah, if they're throwing things like 5s, that usually is a sign of tempai, or could also be a sign of bad play, but So my starting hand is actually pretty good. Because of how close I am, like I have a lot of melts, I'll be getting rid of the dragons. I got a 6. 6 and 8, they combine well, so I can get rid of this 9. The 6 is also Adora, which is really good in this case. I already have 3 melts. Close to getting 1 other melt, and pretty much all of the shapes. This tree is doing nothing, so I'll get rid of it. I do have a problem though. I don't have a single pair. And I didn't have any to begin with. So hopefully I'll be able to get a melt either of these tiles here. That would have been really good if I had it, but that's unlucky. Too late. It's also really close to be Tanyao. So if I'm able to do it, I might get rid of this one to when I get a 4. But there's already 1 4 that got lost. So it's mostly wishful thinking. Hopefully it happens, but if not, that's okay. I can get rid of this one because it doesn't really help me on my hand. I already have 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4. And I'm actually entering a state where I can do Richie here. I'll be going for the higher score, 6. But this is still like a place you don't really want to be in. Being forced to actually wait for a pair. Because as you can see here, there's only 3 left. So I have to trust that either someone might get rid of their 6 if they have it, or that I can draw it myself, which is pretty unlikely. And that's why you should always have a pair. It really helps you. Get rid of this 9. I have a lot of melts right now. I have a 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7. I have 2 9s, so that's a pair. That really helps a lot. Yeah, this hand is pretty close to completion. Because of how close it is for completion, I don't really need at all like any of these ones. Like, even in the case that I got another pair of the dragons, like I might just get rid of it because it's my hand is already too advanced and like I could just pinfu, most likely. Right now, this 1 and this 3 are not really making much of use in my hand right now. So I'll probably get rid of them. I'll get rid of this one. Right now I have a wait for 4 between these 3 and that's 5. I'll be getting rid of this, of the 7, because it doesn't really help me build a hand right now. It will have been more useful if I got a 6. So I got this combination of tiles. That means that I don't really need most of the ones that I have right now. I'll be getting rid of this 8 and then of this 3, and I'll be planning to get another 7 for an Ipeco or a 4 just to be able to have more of a hand. Get rid of another dragon. So reach with 3 of numerals. It might be a 2, it might be a 4, it might even be a 1. I'll be getting rid of it, but there's a chance that that could have been a risky tile. Usually if someone reaches with a numeral, it's really likely for numerals that are beside it to be the ones that win the hand. As he just threw the 2, it might be a 4. And sometimes you just get something that is completely unrelated to whatever they threw. They threw a 3 because they had some numbers. And that was the game. I sadly wasn't able to actually get a winning hand, but I think it was pretty self-explanatory while I was playing and the guide. So let me know what you thought of the video. There might be a continuation with how to read the opponent, how not to blindly throw tiles and get run, and other topics that might be interesting for players that are trying to learn the game. Thank you, and hopefully see you again. Bye.